Radio Brockley, the UK's official #1 hospital radio station.
Hello and welcome to Brockley News, Radio Brockley's weekly show with news, interviews and information, including updates on all you need to know about what's happening in and around the hospital. I'm Alan Joyce, and coming up tonight we find out more about one of the other charities based here in the RNOH, the SCAT Bone Cancer Trust. We'll be hearing from two people who've been leading their fundraising events over the last 10 years, and they'll be telling us more about the charity and how you can support them. Then at 7:30 tonight, your chance to win some super Radio Brockley goodies without leaving in bed on Bedside Bingo with David Rauch calling out the numbers. The patient rep should be up with you very shortly. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, it's all your choice of tunes on the Sunday Request Show with Keith Reeve. So stay tuned to London's longest running hospital radio station and the UK's official #1 hospital radio. It's Radio Brockley. So tonight we hear about the SCAT Bone Cancer Trust, who are a charity based here in the hospital grounds. Now, at the end of last year, Trish McEntee stepped down as their head of fundraising after 10 years to be replaced by Sarah Wright. We'll be hearing from both of them in the next half an hour, so let's join our reporter, Sue Weston.
I'm in the studio today with Trish McEntee, and we're going to be talking about the work she's done for SCAT and a bit of the history about the SCAT Bone Cancer Charity. So Trish, it'd be really good if we could just have a bit of an overview of the charity and how it started.
Well, I started 10 years ago with SCAT, as you know, but SCAT had been going for, has been in existence for almost 25 years, which is worth noting.
So how did it start?
Well, very simply, it was set up as a wig fund to provide wigs which weren't available then on the NHS for teenagers who lost their hair and were so distraught about it. But as you know, losing one's hair now is no longer an issue, and I think it was probably around Enya's time that became far more fashionable to be without hair. So I think the sort of remit of SCAT became a little bit redundant.
OK, so 10 years ago when you joined, Trish, the remit changed then, didn't it?
Well, when I started, I suppose the word for it is dusty. It was a little dusty, and I took it off the shelf and we literally started from scratch, which is sometimes a good way to go. So we decided who was and who wasn't on the board. Some new consultants came on board and I was able to contact them individually so we could decide what was the purpose of SCAT in going forward, and we began to rebrand and did the scary thing for all charities, which was, of course, we had to spend some money even before I had earned a penny.
But you managed to convince them, and of course it was a good decision that they went with your ideas. And you've had some incredible stories of the people that SCAT have actually helped, haven't you?
We have. I have to say, looking back over 10 years, it is an incredible story about people. The people who are on the board and their stories, the people who support and fund SCAT and their stories and how they've come to hear about us quite often through their own tragedies or losses. And then we have the patients whose lives we have been able to help. And they have amazing stories. Every week I think to myself, even when the going is tough, there's always somebody to inspire me and say, this is amazing. I suppose the person who always comes to my mind, because she was perhaps one of the earlier teenagers that I met, was Ellis Clark. She was such a brave, lively 15-year-old when I met her, with a wonderfully supportive family. And I know when we had this first SCAT ball in 2006, and again the second one in 2008, which was just a few months before Ellis died, there she was, surrounded by her family, who were just so willing to support other patients. And you know, that has not changed. Even as Ellis died, her family moved in to support others. And that has been a tremendous legacy to SCAT, and very moving, and impresses so many patients, and again, all the people that they come into touch with. So I suppose the Ellis Harriet Clark Foundation, which now exists, is very close to my heart because, for me, Ellis Clark lives on.
So she had specific help from SCAT Charity. Was the supporting the family that you did for her?
Well, Ellis and her family were an extraordinary story of people who want to give something back. Ellis's surgeon, Rob Pollock, is on our board. So from the word go, her family were very keen to support others. And what Ellis got from SCAT was the joy of fundraising. I remember her mum, somebody in one of the shops that they had was doing a sponsored silence, and her mum asked me to send all the literature to Ellis, and Ellis was sort of the person who directed operations. So up until her death, Ellis was actively helping others. And I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And so now I was very privileged to be at the 10-year celebration, because I know you put a SCAT from when you started to help there or be part of it. You started another sort of 10 years. So you've had 10 years there. And we had this wonderful celebration at the College of Surgeons.
We did decide that we'd call it our 10-year celebration because it was 10 years of active fundraising, from the minute of rebranding and then starting to spend money on projects, which is a huge remit for charities to do. You can't keep just piling up the cash. You really must, to satisfy donors, you must start spending the money, which is a very healthy thing to do. But also we wanted to tell people and to thank them for helping us to raise 2.5 million in 10 years.
Wow, that's an incredible amount of money. Well done. And all those people supporting you. It's great. Yes. I met some fantastic people, and there was one girl there that obviously SCAT had helped. I don't know if you want to tell a bit more about her story.
Yes, the girl you mentioned, Olivia Cork. Olivia is one of triplets, and she had a very severe amputation and went from being a very fit and able girl to, as she told you herself, somebody on quite a basic limb, which is what she would get on the NHS, and quite often using crutches, to going to Dorset Orthopaedics and being introduced to the state-of-the-art limb with a genium knee, and as she called it, her genium, and it certainly was that, because that limb, which was possibly one of the most expensive that we've ever invested in, was, enables her to live a full and active life with complete full mobility and just feeling the same as everybody else.
And she was quite incredible, and I must kind of give you a bit of a visual picture here, because she looked absolutely stunning in a really lovely black dress. Ron, who's engineering for us right now, was there too, and he spent a lot of time talking to her. She was very gorgeous, a really gorgeous girl. She had a really beautiful dress, but it was short, so it was very apparent that she had an artificial leg, but she had such confidence, and it was just amazing to watch her, and it was amazing to see how it worked, if that makes sense, how naturally she could move around. It was just, I found that absolutely incredible. And also the fact that it had given her so much confidence that she could just walk around like that, and so it's really obviously made her life so much better, which is a really great thing.
Yes, well, everybody was intrigued by her, and I know that our own chair, Mr. Cannon, asked her, did she ever have that thought with her two siblings? Why me, and why not them? And she just, in her own wonderful Manchester accent, sort of said, no, better that was me. Sure, they wouldn't have coped at all.
She had such a great attitude.
Yeah.
And obviously that great attitude's been rewarded with help, which is what your charity is all about, isn't it? Helping people to help themselves. You're going to be moving off. I know this is very, very difficult time for you, and you've spared the time to come into the studio, which we're very grateful for.
On the last day, I have the pleasure of also having Sarah Wright with me for the day. Sarah's to sort of begin to ease her in, and I will pop back. But it is like it's like handing over now not a baby. It feels like a baby, but one that's sort of fully formed and well able to run around now.
Yes.
And that's ready for the next stage.
And I think Sarah's great. You know, she was very friendly with the Ellis Harriet Clark family, so she will know kind of a lot about the charity and the work that you've done in the past. So I think she'll have very capable hands, and I look forward to meeting her when she's settled into the job. Yeah, so it's good. So I think you found a great person to take over from you, Trish.
Absolutely. Sarah, has a fundraising background. She also has good knowledge of the muscular skeletal area, and will be sort of well informed on our research projects, knows all about our Live Life to the Full funding for the high performance limbs. And like I said, rather that these things are now set up and running, so Sarah will be able to take them to the next stage and raise awareness of SCAT as a bone cancer charity in the charity and the cancer world.
Right. And so if some of our listeners are interested in how they could maybe get funding to help somebody they may know or themselves, what is the process? How could they go about getting help?
Yeah, we have now in place what we call a kickstart funding to help somebody who's ready to have a high performance limb, or to get that off the ground. So the initial step is to contact us or Dorset Orthopaedics, who supply the limbs, and we'll give a free initial consultation. We then require certain letters, from the prosthesis person and from the consultant, very simply like 2 letters, and once then they've met our criteria, the funding goes through pretty quickly. In fact, sorry to diverse here, but there was a wonderful boy there at the Royal College of Surgeons, Dylan, whose mum had been looking for a charity to help her for so many years, and her mum, who was very good at saying her prayers, kept praying and kept saying there'd be somebody out there. And then one day, through somebody, she happened to email me, and I wrote back to her straight away. And Dylan's dad told me at the College of Surgeons that they thought it was a hoax because they got such a quick response.
Did she have the same type of prosthesis as the girl that we were Olivia?
No,
Yes.
slightly. I won't say it was less complex, because Dylan had some very complex surgery.
Yes.
So it's not just all about the limb, it's about the fitting and the physio.
Yes.
But he had a wonderful time with Dorset Orthopaedics, and I remember this time, it's 2 or maybe 3 years ago now, but I remember his mum sending me an email at Christmas saying, here we are going home, and Dylan is walking without crutches for the first time in 11 years.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh, how lovely. What a lovely Christmas. That is fantastic. Yes. Also, the work that you do is amazing. It isn't just about having replacement limbs, is it? There's other things that the money goes towards. Yes,
I mean, I suppose that's the thing about the limbs. One also always thinks about sort of teenagers and young people, but SCAT helps people of all ages. I mean, really, to be honest, anyone who's had an amputation as a result of bone cancer can approach us, but it tends to be teenagers and young adults, particularly when they're facing an amputation or they've just had one, that it can give them some hope. But our full remit in terms of the research that we are now funding and that we have helped to get off the ground, that's where the bulk of SCAT's money has gone, and has been very, very well invested in research that's going to make a difference in the immediate future and in the long term, that will benefit all bone cancer patients and potentially all cancer patients. So that's the wonderful thing about research is, here at the RNOH, of course, we've got a wonderful sampling which SCAT has been able to fund the collection of, because obviously without the data there's no research. So we've been able to sort of invest in data collection and in funding the preliminary research to get something off the ground and attract larger and more global funding, and make sure that bone cancer is included in the whole cancer remit. And both this and our other research projects will ensure that SCAT will be helping bone cancer patients both now and in the future. And that's what we agreed we would do 10 years ago. And I'm glad to say 10 years on, that is what we are doing.
That's absolutely fantastic. I'm so pleased that after 10 years you've started this wonderful thing, and it is just a start, and it is going to grow. And now now it's time. So what's happening for you then? Now you're going to be leaving. What are you going to be doing with yourself?
I'm not exactly going to hide away. I have a great love of people, and in another life I do work as a therapist, and I will continue with that work. But I have to say, I'm also going to be improving my very bad golf and have a little time off and more time with my family.
You'll enjoy your golf playing. I'm sure you'll get really much better when you have more time to do it. Thank you, Trish. Thank you for your time.
And thank you all at Radio Brockley for your huge support to SCAT. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
It really is our pleasure. Thank you.
The lovely Trish McEntee there, and we'll hear more about SCAT in just a few moments.
When you leave hospital, you might be able to help us. The RNOH has opportunities for volunteers in many roles, such as outpatients guides, befrienders and some departmental placements. We also have an active patients group who, amongst other activities, conduct scheduled visits to wards and departments and report back to the Trust Board. London's longest running and multi-award winning hospital radio service, Radio Brockley, also welcomes new patient visitors, presenters and all who want to get involved with entertaining and informing our patients. If you think you can help or are interested in learning more, then please contact the volunteering office on 020 8909 5394 or email volunteering@rnoh.nhs.uk.
This is Radio Brockley.
And this is Brockley News, and don't forget still to come this evening, we've got Bedside Bingo coming up in just about 15 minutes from now, or just under, with David Rauch calling out the numbers. Good luck if you're playing along. Then at 8 o'clock tonight, it's all your choice of tunes on the Sunday request show with Keith Reid. Well, we've heard from Trish McEntee from SCAT, so now let's hear from the person who's replaced her, Sarah Wright. She's speaking to our reporter, Sue Weston.
Today I'm with Sarah Wright, who has taken over the baton of Head of Fundraising from Trish McEntee. And we've been wanting to speak to you for a while. We've left you to kind of settle into your new role. And welcome to the studio today. So, so how's it going now you've settled in?
Oh, yes, so 4 months in. So, yes, it's going well. I just wanted really, first of all, to say thank you to Trish McEntee for all of her hard work at SCAT over the past decade. She managed to help raise £2.5 million for the charity, and it is a fantastic charity, and she's personally helped so many people. So she leaves very big shoes to fill, but yes, it's going really, really well. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
So what things does your job entail now then?
So I mean, SCAT, for those who don't know about SCAT Bone Cancer Trust, it's a charity based here at RNOH, and it's dedicated to improving the quality of life for bone cancer patients. And it's a really small charity. It's just me, but I think it has a really big impact. So it's my job. Is, well, since I've started, really, what I want to understand is the journey that the patient goes through, right from when they arrive here and get their diagnosis, and just see whereabouts SCAT can help that person and their families through that journey, really. Since I started here, I've been trying to meet with as many people around the hospital as I can, get to know all of the staff that are involved, the whole multidisciplinary team, and really promote SCAT and just find areas that we can add our value, because I think we've got an awful lot to give.
Do you get to meet the people that you help personally?
Yeah, since I've been here, I've had a fantastic morning in clinic with Mr. Aston and one of the clinical nurse specialists as well. And I met quite a few patients on that day. I'm due to have a ward round with Mr. Pollock, and I actually went into theatre with Mr. Pollock. Yeah, I went into the operating theatre. It was one of a girl who'd had an implant due to bone cancer when she was in her teens, and she was now 27, and it had actually broke, so they had to put a new implant in. So I went in and I thought, I'm going to be all right, come on, talking myself round into theatre. And I kind of came over a bit hot and took myself outside and had a strong word with myself, came back in, came over a bit hot again, went outside, had an even stronger word with myself, went back in, and actually managed to stay in for most of the operation.
Well done.
So I was very proud of myself. But it's fantastic to see what, we're raising money for our surgeons and the great work that they do, and actually to see what they're doing, it just helps me to understand more about SCAT.
Yeah, that's fantastic. They do such amazing work here. I do remember we had the party that Trish organised to celebrate the 10 years that she'd spent with the charity, and it was great because there were so many people there you could physically see that had been helped by the artificial limbs that you help people to purchase, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. So we have a campaign called the Live Life to the Full campaign, and we raise money to help mainly young teenagers to get upgraded limbs that aren't available on the NHS. And when you, like you say, seeing these young adults talking about being able to do all the things that young adults want to be able to do and should be able to do is, we had a lot of our supporters in the room at that anniversary, and it's great for them to see where their money's gone, because you can actually physically see the impact that it's had on these people's lives, and it's incredible.
So other than the Live Life to the Full campaign, are there other ways that the money that you raise are spent?
Yeah, we fundraise for research, which is actually done here at the RNOH. So there's a number of really amazing and valuable projects that our consultants are working on here. One of the projects is the Genome Project, which is actually about deciphering the genetic codes. I mean, it's incredible stuff and really, pioneering. And we are thrilled to be funding that piece of research. And again, on our website, there are a number of other projects that we're involved in, and you can find out all of the information there, but it's pioneering stuff.
So if there's somebody listening to this right now who would like to access some help, first of all, how would they go about doing that?
So, there's a number of ways to get in touch. Obviously through our website, which is scatbonecancertrust.org, or they can email me at scat@rnoh.nhs.uk. We've also got our Facebook and Twitter social media up and running now, so you can find us through that as well. I would just say get in touch with me, and that's definitely the best place to start.
And also for this worthwhile cause, which is really amazing. That's fantastic work for these helping people, teenagers and young people. How would people be able to make a donation if they wanted to?
Yep, so again, you can donate through the website, but there's a button that you can click on, and that goes straight through. We also have pledge cards. We have quite a number of donors who actually give money monthly, and again, if you get in touch with me, I can send you out all the details for that. Cheques can be sent to us. I come into RNOH every Tuesday, and every Tuesday there'll be a little pile of cheques, hopefully, from people who just do tabletop sales, or we have really from very minor, small things that make such a big difference. You can send, and I think the cheques are made payable to SCAT or Skeletal Cancer Action Trust.
Also, do you have any fundraising plans coming up?
Yep. So for some of your listeners might already know of the Ellis Harriet Clark Foundation, which is how I got involved in SCAT in the first place. And we had 3 immensely successful bike rides. So we did the third and final one last year. So I'm trying to get those people engaged in our cycling team, the SCAT cycling team. So we've got there's 2 cycling challenges. There's one on Sunday the 11th of September, which is a London to Brighton. And then if that's not enough of a challenge for you, which is 54 miles, there's the London to Paris. And we've got 4 dates available for next year, for 2017. And there's also a couple of dates in this September. So again, either get in touch through the website or email me. So there's those cycling challenges, because we know everyone likes to, including our consultants, put their Lycra on and get pedalling. And we're also hoping to get a team together for the Brighton Marathon next year. Again, get in touch and I can give you more details about that. The other thing we've got is I'm putting together a list of fundraising, sort of an A to Z of fundraising activities that you might want to get involved in with your family and friends. That's going to be downloadable from the website as soon as it's finished. We've also got a newsletter that I've put together, which we distribute about every 3 months. So if anybody would be interested in receiving that newsletter, then just email me and I can send a copy to you.
At the end of this interview, we'll repeat all the contact details for you so that people are very clear about where to find you. You did mention briefly that your connection was with Ellis Harriet Clark and the foundation. How did it come about that you took over from Trish McEntee? What was your interest in the SCAT charity?
Yeah, so a very dear friend of mine, her younger sister Ellis, was diagnosed and treated here at RNOH by Mr. Pollock, and she had one of these very whizzy implants that goes into it basically replaces the thigh bone. She was 12 when she had that operation, and it actually it would grow as she grows, which is, I mean, you tell people about that and it's just, the mind boggles, but it was fantastic. So we unfortunately lost Ellis in 2008, but Ellis had been keen to fundraise for SCAT. So Billy and the rest of us who got roped into helping her ended up putting together the Ellis Harriet Clark Foundation, and the first year we did a fundraising ball for what would have been Ellis's birthday, and we raised so much money, we couldn't believe it. We were thrilled. So the next challenge was putting together a Team Ellis marathon team. I don't want to mislead anyone here. I did not run a marathon. I did make many bowls of pasta, but I did not run the marathon. But my husband and a good few other people were in that team. And then it was Billy's idea to put together the Ellis Harriet Clark Foundation Ellis 50 miler. So obviously we raised thousands of pounds for SCAT, and we were thrilled to do so, because you can see where your money goes, and I think that's what fundraisers and people who are donating their money want to see, and I know that was certainly the appeal for us for SCAT. And so when Trish announced that she was moving on to do other things, she got in touch and asked if I would be interested. I'd been working for another musculoskeletal charity for about 7 years in between maternity breaks, and I jumped at the chance. I met with Professor Steve Cannon, and I was bowled over. So yeah.
That sounds like they've got just the person for the job.
Oh, hope so.
And I'm really glad you're enjoying it. So I really do think you're going to do an amazing job, and whatever we can do to support you, you know where we are here at Radio Brockley.
Yeah, so it's great to be on such an award-winning radio show. So thank you very much.
So to contact Sarah at SCAT Bone Cancer Charity, you can email her on SCAT, SCAT, at rnoh.nhs.uk, and the website is scatbonecancertrust.org.
They do an absolutely fantastic job at SCAT, and do check out the website and support them. Don't forget you can listen to that and other previous editions of Brockley News and Brockley News Extra by following the links to our website. We've got our very own YouTube channel with lots of our interviews on there. Plus you can tune into Brockley News Extra 5 days a week at midday. Up next on Radio Brockley, it is Bedside Bingo with David Rauch calling out the numbers, and then it's All Your Choice of Tunes on the Sunday Request Show with Keith Reeve at 8 o'clock. Brockley News returns at the same time next week, and we'll be hearing from Zoe Keats on the adolescent unit about a new addition on their ward which is helping patients going for MRI scans. From me, Alan Joyce, though, good night.